Are you ready for our review of the Redblacks and the Montreal Alouettes? I don't have a rooting interest, except I kind of did because I called the line and I called the win for the Alouettes. I said that it would be at least by 14 points. In my heart of hearts, I thought it could be even more than 21 points, but it ended up being 21 points. And I said that they would win. So I'm 1-0 and pick 'em and 1-0 in the lines. It's more of a gamification because this is one of those channels where I'm going to say, don't gamble. Okay? Okay, buddy? Moving on to the next slide, we'll have the actual score here. Ish. I was worried that it wouldn't be competitive, and it turned out to be right. The Red Blacks were able to contain the run for a good bit, but besides that, it just comes down to their discipline. It came down to having their backups in at quarterback. And so when your defense is hampered by being undisciplined, when your offense becomes undisciplined in key areas too, and you have your backup quarterbacks, well, that spells trouble. In any case, the great Montreal defense provided the Alouettes with a lifeline after lifeline. Some people may be annoyed with the Red Blacks office when they went for it on second and third down when it was goal to go. But I'm going to actually give the coaches some credit here because we have to consider the esprit de corps of the team. Not trusting the offense to put the ball across the goal line has a cooling effect on an offense. Momentum is an insubstantial thing, but it is still real and directly relates to player motivation, even at the professional level. The Red Black defense seems less dysfunctional this week until the second half began. I hate to say that, but they continued to make stupid penalties. The Red Blacks quarterback, Matthew Schultz, Schultz, has a bad release angle on his pass. Why do I know that? I know that he has a bad release angle because he's actually tall enough to play quarterback and certainly tall enough within the CFL because they tend to have smaller players than the NFL. He's 6'2", yet he was still intercepted off a deflection at the defensive line twice. It means that his height is not an issue. It's his throwing mechanics. It's fixable provisionally, but this is how he throws the ball. It's a really hard thing to change at this juncture in a young man's career, even though he still has some playing days ahead, I'm sure. Probably going to be a backup his whole career, if I'm being honest with you. Davis Alexander continues to train through live games and will likely show elite growth by the end of this season. I'm just fully for this experiment with these guys. I liked that he threw the ball away, even though it drew a flag at the tail end of the first half. And he did have an interception, but again, these are growing pains. I'm not as... I like that he can scramble too, by the way, and I usually don't like scramblers. There's a different level of trust that you have with, like, say, a developing quarterback or even an elite quarterback that you know that can work through the passes. It's not the end of the world that he threw an interception is what I'm trying to say. But I will just say that it's a benefit that they have a defense as talented as they have, such an excellent line for the Alouettes. And although it was a bit quieter this match, the run game was solid until the second half hit. Then they were able to run fairly well. Solid receivers. Point being, he's going to be able to be on cruise control environment while he's just getting better and better. During the preview episode for this match, I referred to the coaching staff of the Red Blacks as being the root cause of the discipline issues, and now it's the offense too. They had back-to-back mental errors at midfield prior to halftime. And this is an old school mentality, but I may need to dedicate an episode to a deep dive into the Red Black coaching to point out in-game discrepancies. And if I do, that is an indication of zero confidence in their current coaching capacity. I'm sorry to say that for any Ottawa fans. Old school football sensibilities are that the team that scores the most in those last few minutes of that half has a better than average chance to win. Discipline matters. It really, really does. As we move on to the next slide. But you see that, the Alouettes were in control if you see that box score there, in any case. And please look at the box score for Davis Alexander. What I like to look at the most is the average yards per pass. So we're going to touch on that with the Redblacks too, unfortunately, for you guys. And as you can see, between their two running backs, they did well enough. They scored nearly 100, and I think they went close to 99 if I included the scrambles. Interesting enough, Davis Alexander ran less. It might have been because of his tweaked knee, or maybe as a coach. I really like their coach, by the way, who's telling him to scramble less, develop as a passer. It's okay, we got your back. We'll see what you can do. And for the receivers here, Tyler Snead had a great game. But I also want you to focus on the quarterback again when you look at the targets. You see he has 4 targets he spread the ball around to. Two targets, and then 1. Focus on there's at least a viable option for the defense to be worried about all 4 of the top receivers here. And Philbit was really good. I liked his play. Even though he's the 3rd best here, you can tell he's going to be a sure-handed catcher. Off to the Redblacks. Oh, yeah, I ran out of room. I can show you. I ran out of room here. Now I'm going to talk about the defense a little bit. I just want to show you their box scores more than anything. I don't have any real takeaways except for those interceptions, the defensive end interception. Pretty cool. Anyways, not much to say except, what I care most about in the defensive lineman and the defensive end are those sacks. I'll give it to them. Sacks and interceptions are good. Forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. That's what I want out of a defensive lineman. Linebackers, I want to see a little bit of everything, but, a good defensive back, a good safety, free safety. How do I measure them? Based on how bad the offense of the other team performs. So I would say that the Alouettes have the most elite defense that I've seen so far within the CFL. I haven't seen three of the teams, but I've seen 6 out of 9 of the teams. I'll get back to you when I see the Edmonton Elks. I'm not really that I don't think they're going to be that impressive. But anyways, yeah, this is the worst image I've made. But they deserve it. You see that the average is below 7 on the yards per pass for both quarterbacks. The 3 interceptions, that's when, interceptions matter, when it's that bad. And so, sure, Dustin Crum was 2 out of 2 for 5 yards. It's not terrible, but chances are Schultz is a better quarterback for them at this juncture. It's just, it's nice to see that he made 2 completions out of 2, but it's mostly the aesthetic of it. What really should point out to you is that the quarterbacks weren't helped by the balance again. The Redblacks have bad run-pass balance, and it doesn't usually affect them. But once they start playing these elite teams, I'm talking about your Alouettes, and I think the Rough Riders will be one of these better teams eventually, where this was just a close, collapse in last week. When they start playing the elite teams, they will be able to get tamped down in the passing game because there's no real running threat. I know that it's more pass heavy in Canada, but, just think about that, buddy. And we have 3 valid targets, which is okay. It's just average. I like to see Alexander with his 4 primary receivers. So even the passing game is tamped down a little bit in terms of credible options. And by credible options, I'm going to say that these three are the guys that are able to get separation. So why can't Keelan White, Justin Hardy, and these other guys, boy, and stand back? Why aren't they being targeted more? It's because they're not open. Only these three guys are open. And that's what I mean by saying that Alexander, he has options and his wide receivers are a real benefit to him because those four guys are open often. Now, you know what I mean? There was an interesting fumble recovery by Adarius Pickett. But look at this. Even the defense, there weren't any sacks. I mean, there was that interception, which is really good. You know, hey, good on you, defensive back CJ Colden. But the fumble recovery, that's good. A fumble recovery is kind of like a sack. It's a momentum shifter, but much stronger than a sack even. So I like to see that in the linebacker, the defensive lineman, you know. I don't know. That's just an aside. I should just move on. Little else to say except their offense and defense are now concerning, especially if that starter can't come back. Drew, that is. Okay, now have a quick gander at the stats here. You can pause the video to discern what you need to discern at this point. But kickoff returns, sure, that's nice. That's nice as everything else is functioning. You know, special teams is an enhancer, so at least the Redblacks have that going for them. And passing and rushing, you just see the top two stats there. They were mauled. They were just so terrible. In the sacks, you know, that just on both phases, well, 2 out of 3 phases of the game, the Alouettes won. So not much to say there. And victory for the Alouettes. You know, good job, Montreal. You know, congratulations, Quebec and the Quebecois. Bye for now.